Um, Alright, so I'm going to make, or I'm making, or this is a proper FM8 tutorial. I think I'm going to do two parts. The first one will be kind of basic how it works kind of stuff, and the second one will be some cooler tricks and tips and things that I figured out. Hopefully it'll be helpful. I had a hard time figuring out how this plugin worked when I first jumped into it. So this is FM8. When you load up a new sound, it'll pull up to this page. You get a new sound up here. Browser and attributes is really just for looking for presets. If you want to jump into making your own, this is your front page master where you're going to have your kind of basic synthy stuff. How many voices, you can make it monophonic. You can change the portmanteau, it's the glide between two notes. Master tuning, saturation, analog and digital, stuff like that. You can also make unison voices and detune them or pan them out, which probably won't make too big a difference right now, but is handy once you have a more complex patch. So you also have this effects window where you can add effects, overdrive, wah, that talking stuff that people get all excited about. Arpeggiator, I don't use this that much, but it's pretty straightforward step arpeggiator. Easy morph, I'll get into in a second. Expert is where all the fun stuff happens. So FM synthesis is basically using operators. These are all operators, A through F, which are like an oscillator of a regular synth, so sine wave, to modulate the frequency of another one very quickly. It all has to do with ratios here, which is how fast it's oscillating. So 1, 2 is going to be an octave up. 0.5 is going to be an octave down. As you double the number, it goes up in octaves. As you half the number, it goes down in octaves. So 2 octaves down is 0.25. 3 octaves down is 0.125, I guess, and 2 octaves up is 4. So it's not linear. 3 octaves is 8. Anyway, so here, if you have, and this is your output down here, volume for each operator, panning, you can double click, it'll go away, you can right click, it'll turn it off, or option click, or whatever it is. You can also route oscillators into other oscillators, which is where it starts to get cool. So you can route from E. That's E modulating F. It's a sine wave modulating another sine wave. And you can play around with it. If the modulator's twice a higher octave than the carrier, or if the carrier is a higher octave than the modulator, it's going to make some different sounds there. So as you select these, you'll see the new stats pop up. You can also change the waveform. There's some really cool waveforms in there. But we're just going to leave it on sine right now. And you can route something to itself. It's a pretty subtle synth. Little differences make a big change in the sound. Now, you can get to doing some really cool modulation stuff. Oh, before I get into that. Down here you have a saturation. So you can, if I want to route that into the saturator and then out, you have there asymmetry, gain, level. It has a white noise oscillator in there too. and you have a filter. Just one, but it's a dual filter. This is to change the mix between filter 1 and filter 2. The spread is how far filter 2 cuts off from filter 1, which is kind of, I don't know, takes a second for some people, and it's being annoying right now. There you go. Resonance in parallel or serial, which means if you have the signal going through each of the filters separately and then summed to the output, or going into one filter and then the other. Yeah, anyway, that spread is annoying. So you have, just make it our simple sine wave again. Now there's a couple ways to make this cool, or make the sounds kind of change. You can get into, down here is your envelope. So it's going to default to this kind of gate sort of deal, or you can pull it there. I guess it's an ADSR. So that's attack, decay, sustain, decay, sustain, release. Something handy is you can tempo sync it. So it'll give you right there, if like I wanted to take an eighth note to get up to full volume, I can. And you can change this to fixed, which makes it a little bit less of a pain to deal with. Also here you have a bunch of prefab shapes, so you can do like a loop, which comes in handy. And you can change the then you can go, so this is an example of how to use that actually. You can get some cool stuff using a gate on the modulator. So you can change the amount that it's modulating over time. Or you can do some like whatever, dubstep. It's great. So pretty quickly you can make some kind of cool stuff. Something else that I like doing is making two things that are relatively similar. And then changing like maybe just the way it's modulating. You can get some cool stereo effects going by playing with the panning there. Anyway, or you can run it all through. You have this amount on this filter too, so if you want to do like a more standard sort of deal. you can do that. Oops. Come on. Change the amount that it's controlled there. Anyway, then you have, I'm just going to reinitialize this real fast. You can also control things up here. So you can say, with the different quadrants, that gets into that easy morph that I said I would explain later. So maybe if you have something here that's going to be modulated by this, that's great over there, but over here you want it to just be kind of a clean. Where's my thing go? And a lot of the stuff in the main windows, like down here, is not syncable to MIDI parameters, but that is up here. And you can control stuff like the randomization on the X and Y axis as it goes across, as opposed to just being one specific point. And anything in any of these parameters over here, like the amount of the effects section, if it has that little window looking thing there, it'll remember that on each side. So like if we have an overdrive there, we can turn it down here and get some pretty cool stuff. And that's pretty much it for the basics, I think. I don't think I'm missing anything. You hear this panning will start to do more interesting stuff if you give it a little bit more to work with from the get-go. But that's the kind of stuff that I will go over in my next video. Some tips and tricks. So I hope this was helpful, kind of a super quick crash course. If you have any questions, let me know. I read those little comments and stuff, and I'm trying to be as helpful as possible. Thanks for watching.